Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lockbeard Random Live number 38. Evolution is great. It is Wednesday, December 28th, isn't it? Or is it 29th? I can't keep track of what day it is. It's 29th. Coming up on the new year. Um, for which I will not be doing anything but sleeping, probably. So, I don't really celebrate holidays in general, but um, certainly not New Year's. I see Mr. Lee is here. Welcome. Mid South Sasquatch Cryptid Research. Welcome. Sasquatch Wizard and Iron Decks. Welcome. Prairie Fire. Welcome. This is greetings. Negative 44 here in Saskatchewan. Dang, it's pretty cold. I don't know what temperature it is. I don't feel bad at all out here. Looks like it's upper 40s. Not bad at all. So, sorry you have to deal with negative 44 Prairie Fire. Sandra Piper's here. Welcome. And Mr. Lee making the battle cry. Scotty, welcome. Just subscribe to Mid South. Awesome. Well, so does anybody recognize the picture on the thumbnail? Any guesses on that? Picture on the thumbnail. What is it? Where does it come from? What's it about? I'll pull it up here in a second. There it is. Anybody have any ideas? I don't know if everybody here was over at Western New York Bigfoot Investigation Group channel. Watching Joe and Molly talk to Steve Coles. That's where I've been for the last 2 hours. Yep, Troy Brex, Paris and Janeway. That is correctamundo. That is Captain Catherine Janeway in the light there, I think. I don't know. They don't ever say which one is which. I always, in my head, for whatever reason, that was always Captain Janeway that had the light shining in her face. And then Tom Paris. And so they are humans, folks. Those two are humans. Of course, this is from the world of make-believe, and an episode of Star Trek Voyager. It was, which episode? It was in one of the earlier seasons. They were way out in the Delta Quadrant of space. And what had happened was they were experimenting with traveling at thwart 10, and it somehow caused rapid evolution. And it caused Tom to abduct Janeway, and then they fled to a planet where their evolution continued until they turned into this. Now, a lot of people complained that this looked like de-evolution. They This is one of the things I'm talking about. People who don't have adequate or really any education in evolutionary biology don't they don't know how it works. They think that something like that could not evolve out of today's humans. And the fact is something like that could most certainly evolve out of today's humans. Now, try to wrap your mind around that. There's a lot. I mean, how it happened in this, in Star Trek, how it happened where an individual evolved, that's not real. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about over millions of years. Humans could evolve into something like that. Humans could evolve into all kinds of different forms. It depends on the environment that you're living in and what kind of evolutionary pressures that your species is under, where you go. Um, like everyone assumes humans are just going to get more intelligent. That is not true, and that is it's possible, but right now it doesn't look like that's the direction we're heading. Um, Although IQ is not an adequate uh, assessment of intelligence, um, it does have some merit. And average IQs are going down every generation by about a point, as I recall. People are getting dumber. Does that sound like the type of evolution that's in your head that you think humans are just going to keep getting smarter? Um, yeah. So hopefully that answers your question there, Mr. Lee. Um, to Captain Janeway and Tom Paris um, got turned into those things they through a rapid evolutionary process. A completely ridiculous idea. It's crazy. I mean, Star Trek. I like Star Trek, but there's a lot of stupid shit that happens in Star Trek. No, not Star Wars. You just pissed off most of the Star Wars and Star Trek community by confusing the two. There's kind of a little bit of a rivalry going on. Um, there are some people that like one and don't like the other. So I like both. So it don't matter to me. Prayer Fire says a couple of politicians climbing out of the rock that came from. Well, that's could possibly be correct too. But yeah, Paris and Janeway. Paris and Janeway. Um, let's see. I don't want to let chat get away from me. They had 3 babies. If you go back and watch the clip, they had 3 babies. I really didn't want to talk about this storyline in because I've talked about on here before how I've been for a long time. I've been kind of piecing together and working up a series, a Star Trek series story, and of course, in that process, I'm developing ideas for various episodes and various things that are going to happen in the series, and I don't know that. I mean, one of these days I will. I'm sure I will. Um, get copyright and all that stuff on my idea and how it works. But anyway, I have plans for those little offspring right there. I have plans for that. I don't know how much I should say about it though. I mean, somebody could steal my idea. It's not crucial to the overall story arc necessarily, although it could become very important. Well, but it would be, and it's something that happens way down the line. It's not even in the first 5 seasons that for sure. Um, and 5 and 6 seasons might be a little early. Um, but don't you find it strange? I mean, they left 3 human offsprings on this planet. Technically, I mean, even though they've been changed, and with all the prime directive and non-interference, all stuff, they aren't concerned about the effect on the ecosystem on that planet that these life forms will have. Is that not a concern for them? Um, we certainly know just on Earth today what happens when an, uh, you get non-indigenous species in the wrong place. It can cause a lot of havoc. Rubber suits, yeah. You a Star Trek fan, Blackbeard? I like Star Trek and Star Wars. After what I just said, though, I'm sure you know for sure I'm a Star Trek fan now. Raptor Crazy's here. Welcome. Um, this sort of looks like the old wormy things of the old Godzilla movie. Yeah. Evolution would depend on the environment, wouldn't it? Yeah, absolutely. And evolution's on my mind right now for a couple reasons, and one of them's holidays and a lot of religious stuff is happening, and then of course evolution comes up sometimes in conversations, and then I'm dealing with people trying to talk to me about evolution that don't know, they don't even understand the very basic idea of how it functions. They think they know. They have rejected evolution based on ignorance. They don't know anything about it. They think they can. They come up with these zingers. They come up with these gotchas. Like, oh well, if evolution happens, why don't humans walk out of the jungle now, evolving out of apes? Okay, that person has no clue how evolution works. No clue at all. Um, Go to college, take evolutionary biology, get a clue. Take genetics, some geology, specifically looking at fossils. Just with the fossil record alone, the fossil record, once you understand how they determine all this stuff, and isotopic age dating and all that stuff, um, the fossil record is like a picture book of the evolutionary history of the planet. And of course, everyone always says, "Well, what about the missing link?" I'm like, "What missing link?" Look, if we found a fossil, um, say I present, it said, "Look, we got a 1,000,000-year-old fossil, and this one's a little bit intermediate with the previous ones." You would say, "Well, you don't know what happened between then and there." And then if I give you a 500,000-year-old fossil, you would say, "Well, what about between 500,000? What about the missing link between 500,000 years and now?" And then if I come up with a 100,000-year-old fossil, they would still do the same thing, because it isn't that they got a point at all. They don't want to accept evolutionary biology, which is a goddamn fact. Sorry if your religion doesn't allow for it, and that's mainly your fault because you choose not to interpret it in a way that allows for the facts that are learned by science to be incorporated into it. Like evolution, why can't you just say, well, God created evolution, and just shut the fuck up? Sorry to be that harsh about it, but um, I mean, you've seen me talk about quantum physics. I will tear into quantum physics all night long, but evolutionary biology is not an area of science that you can discredit at this point. There is just way too much evidence for it. So, sorry. Getting number that is Steve Coles. Yep. The Queen is an 8-foot lizard. No one seems to mind. William Shatner graduated from Balfour High School in Regina, Saskatchewan. Not as simple, Lockbeard. Has chat. I can't believe I've caught up to chat. That's crazy. Have I caught up to chat? Everybody fucking leave because they're sick of my bullshit. Captain Stink is here. Says hi, mate. Hello. So anyway, the battle between religious people and evolution is part of why evolution is on my mind right now. But also, the show that we just watched, we were talking about Sasquatch, Mr. Lee's favorite subject, and there were some things that, well, there's one thing in particular I'm going to bring up because Regina as a vagina, because you will see why. You'll see why the because is. Went to Prairie Fire and went to space. Yeah. Yep, Mr. Lee loves the Squatch. Did he really, or was it hoaxed? What, did God really create evolution, or was evolution hoaxed? Yeah, it seriously wasn't hoaxed. The evidence is just so extremely massive that anyone that thinks that they are disproving evolution out there is a goddamn joke, an absolute goddamn joke. And I'm probably being too kind in that regard. Been binge watching a lot of Star Trek lately too, so trying to watch a whole series before it goes off of Amazon. Although I'm not going to succeed, I'm not going to get DS9. But yeah, and watching DS9, man, sometimes like some of those episodes are just dumb. Pyromedic says my swimming hole has limestone layers like steps all the way to the water. One layer is an extinction event layer that is almost nothing but fossils of plant life. Yeah. Yeah, you could listen to which doofus is it that keeps trying to make saying that it's all built, that all rock is like melted down brick structures, and he says you can see the brick layers. No, you do not see brick layers. You can tell that guy doesn't know the first thing about geology. I only minored in geology, but it's just because I majored in something else, and I minored. Well, I minored in probably I guess you could say I minored in a lot of different things because I was studying a variety of different sciences, as well as business and stuff. But because my interests are just so varied, and I was for a while there, I didn't really want to ever leave college. I just wanted to keep taking courses. I stayed on campus for a long time. Prairie Fire says evolution cannot be proved or disproved in our lifetime. I disagree. It's been proven like big time. It's big time proven. Uh, let's see here. Bear in the next 10 years above. Yeah. just a tiny little example of some of the evidence there. Mud flood. Oh, the mud floods are freaking. Those people are complete morons. I'm sorry. My subscriber count's going to go down. Luckily, I don't live for my subscriber count. Yeah. People want no bullshit. Just, they'll hang around, and that's what I want. I don't want the people bringing in. I don't need subscribers that believe mud flood. I really don't. They can't contribute anything intelligent to the conversation until they shake free of that complete nonsense. Yeah. Let me get rid of this. Let me get rid of the salamander looking things. Yeah, people had a big time problem with that because they thought they were perceiving that as de-evolution, but it was not de-evolution, it was evolution. And though the writers, I don't know what was going on in the writer's mind when they wrote that. But so they probably were not aware of themselves that was a perfectly legitimate depiction. So yeah, Prairie Fresh says that's why I'm here. Real free speech. Yeah. Sick of getting kicked out of chats, huh? You're not allowed to ask real questions of some of the guests that are full of shit on some of the other channels out there. So, what should I show you next? Let me start with this one. I don't have a lot of stuff to throw up on the screen, but Sasquatch Wizard and Arndak says God operates on a level that we could never fathom. Why is it when individuals discover the science they feel they disprove God as I am? I'm solid and everything else is okay as well. Well, not every scientist acts like that, but yeah. So it's a subject. I don't know if I want to dive down that rabbit hole too much on here, but we can, and it's gonna piss people off, because it just does. There's reasons behind it. There's psychological reasons behind it, and yeah. Prairie Fire says, I have found the Star Trek, Star Wars, what have you. I have found the Star Trek, Star Wars, what have you, are simply sounding boards now for SCWs and social virtuers. Yeah, with the most recent Star Trek, Discovery, and Picard, they just screwed it up. Now my story eliminates those. Well, kinda. It definitely eliminates Picard anyway, because I don't remember if I've talked about how it begins, but you basically end up on a different timeline, a timeline that happens because a temporal incursion event that should have been stopped. Especially after the time agents are always trying to stop temporal incursions, right? And then they somehow let this one slide. Well, that's kind of where my story begins. Sanders with you. Says, oh, it's okay to know or gain knowledge of the process of life and discovery of facts and that work into a hypothesis. A baby learns to walk. Does this mean it's ready for the Olympics? Yep. Well said, says Prairie Fire. Okay. So, people the mid tarsal break. So some people have it in their mind that the presence of a mid tarsal break in Sasquatch it supports the idea that Sasquatch must be a separate species than us. So the first thing I'll say is, even if humans completely lack mid-tarsal break, it does not support that we're separate species. It does not. But I don't even need to say that really, because I'm about to show you that some humans do have a mid-tarsal break, and we've known this for years. And so any idea that a mid-tarsal break in Sasquatch um, helps indicate them as a separate species from us, it is just wrong, because it doesn't. Humans do have a mid-tarsal break, just not all of us have that midfoot flexion like Sasquatch do, but some of us do. So enlarge this a little bit more. It's a little small, so I'll read it. It says the absence of a mid-tarsal break has long been regarded as a derived feature of the human foot. Humans possess a rigid midfoot that acts as an efficient lever against the propulsive phase of bipedal gait. Non-human primates, in contrast, have a more mobile midfoot that is adaptive for tree climbing. Here we report plantar pressure and video evidence that a small percentage of modern humans possess both elevated lateral midfoot pressures and even exhibit midfoot dorsiflexion characteristic of a mid-tarsal break. Those humans with a mid-tarsal break had on average a significantly flatter foot than those without. Mid-tarsal breakers also had significantly more medial weight transfer pronation, in parentheses there, during the stance phase of gait than those without this midfoot mobility. So, I'm not going to read the whole thing. I left off the last sentence, but it's... So yeah, it's just not... It's not a thing. It's not a thing that shows them to be a separate species. SWA says, it's okay, Lockbeard. I'm solid and can have listened to many whom have it all figured out. You are very smart and have the right to express your knowledge. I listen to all and can still be friends. Well, thank you. Me too. Mid-South says their mid-tarsal break are different than humans. Scotty says FJC, you usual suspect. Paramedic says an old Cherokee story passed down suggests we are from another star system. People think that You are crazy if you mention that. Call me crazy. Just sharing an old legend. Polly T, welcome. Oh, look at this. We got a spammer. Good evening, Polly T. Welcome. Polly T, are you the usual culprit? Yeah, he is. He is the usual culprit. From my video yesterday, you didn't have to see a footprint from the clan that surrounded me on the side of a mountain. So yeah. And okay, the idea that different than humans, um, even if it is a little different, the difference is not enough to justify declaring that it makes them a separate species. Um, of course, being a bigger variety, there's going to be some differences in morphology. Um, just because this foot has to support more weight. Um, we see this in all the animal kingdom. It's why the leg of an elephant or a brontosaurus is like a column. It's shaped, and it just this different style than you'll see in something smaller. Because it just has to. It just has to have that different form. So yeah, where's the chat at? Polly T says Lockbeard good, bad, or indifferent, always consistent. Greeting says Danny Stanton. Welcome. I've got a 10-minute clip of 3 juveniles in front of me. Man, it was awesome. Are they clearly visible? Greetings from Danny, Carolina. So let me bring up this other thing. Because despite the claims of the differences, which it's hard to it's one thing to say, well, there is a metatarsal break or there isn't. It's another thing uh, to prove that there are significant differences from just the footprint. You can see a lot in the footprint, but the important thing is that is the is there is a metatarsal break in humans. Pyromedic says I went barefoot most of my childhood, could run on rocks. I have a mid-tarsal arch. I'm just listening, mate, says Campus Stinka. So let's see here. Most of these listed here at the top are Boston University. Of course, I'm not going to read all this, but I'll read a little bit here and there, maybe. Like here, it says recent work indicates that there is considerable variation in human midfoot dorsiflexion, with some overlap with the ape foot. these findings have called into question the uniqueness of the human lateral midfoot and the use of osteological features in fossil hominins to characterize the midfoot of our extinct ancestors. Not too interested in talking about our extinct ancestors because the important thing is, well, pictures like this. If I can get this thing to cooperate with me here, which it is not. That's the best I can get. Below, the caption for these pictures is variation in midfoot mobility in humans. Video stills of the lateral foot in a typical human with rigid midfoot and a non-symptomatic individual with hypermobility of the midfoot. Digital footprints. So there you have it. Just a little notch off of the whole claims out there that they are that the lack of a mid-tarsal break somehow helps show them to be a separate species. Now, this is just this is really just a small point. When you look at the overall morphological characteristics of Sasquatch, you really can't come to any other conclusion than that they are Homo sapiens. They're a type of human. Visible to the ones who can see it, got over 300 views with 18 times stance from others. So have a look. Christina is here. Read it all. Well, I don't want to read it all. There's a lot there. I don't want to, anyone who's really interested can go read that. And there's other stuff out there, but if someone wants to find it, they can find it and see that the humans aren't completely without a mid-tarsal break. And also, when you're looking at tribes that don't use shoes, and in some cases do a lot of climbing of trees, they have a lot more midfoot flexibility. And so when you're talking about Sasquatch, if you were to put Sasquatch in shoes, which we haven't had the opportunity to test that, but and it'd probably be, it's probably something you wouldn't never want to test because you're kind of, there's just some experimentation you can't do on humans, right? And it would be very long term, and it'd just be really hard to do. But if Sasquatch were to wear shoes, would you see that individual having a reduction in midfoot flexion? And I think that you would see that. Maybe not completely like humans, but like our type of human. But what class are you late for? I don't know. You're not late for class. You got here when you got here. So, so I don't know if we can call you late. You could adopt the Gandalf stance. When Frodo said to Gandalf, "You're late," and Gandalf said, "A wizard is never late, Mr. Frodo, nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to." So, let me zoom back out on this. I don't know if there's any particular points I want to pull out, because the main point is that that some humans do have a mid tarsal break. Just because it came up again, and I think it needs to be addressed from time. I've mentioned it before on Lockbeard phenomena, but yeah. But when we're talking about some slight differences that may exist, well, when we don't even have a Sasquatch foot to examine, I mean, now now we're looking at a situation where someone may be trying to again twist things to make it fit the narrative that they want. The only narrative I want is what is the facts. When I look at things like the PG film, the footprint evidence, and I kind of maintain slightly skeptical about Meldrum, because he may be an expert. He could still be tainted by what he thinks the answer is supposed to be. And, or what he wants it to be. You got to be careful about wanting the answer to be a certain thing. So, yeah. I don't know. What's that graph show? Talk about the pressure. Anyway, there is people trying to criticize this, but they cannot discredit the fact that some humans have a mid-tarsal break. They just can't, because it's readily observable. I don't know what else to show you on this. Man, we certainly don't want to read a bunch of text. So we're down in the citations now. So, yeah. That's it. No big deal, I don't think. The woo man, don't forget it. Don't forget the woo. Well, look, gotta see some evidence for the woo, though. Where's the evidence for it? Got all we got's claim. Let's see, like the feet. We got physical evidence. We got footprints. Where's the evidence for the woo? We just have claims. Paramedic says, "Oh dang, it's that dream again where I'm in class in my underwear." That's the best way to be in class. Christina says, "My dream is I'm always late to a test and I didn't study. The questions are foreign, and I have less than 5 minutes. Oh, look, we got us another spammer. Goodbye. Let's see. Troy says, bringing journal to the discussion. Christina says, oh shit. Trollbot. Yeah, those have been showing up quite a bit lately. I booted a couple of them out of Squatch Talk chat last night. And I don't know what they hope to accomplish with that stupid little message there, but I don't know. I do not know. So, what else, y'all? Troll bots or rat droppings. Yeah. Shall we get into Bigfoot drama tonight? Bigfoot community drama. It continues. I don't know if people see the liars are keep telling more lies. They're just digging themselves deeper from dank sewer rats. Yeah, just lying and lying. Apparently they're saying some shit about you, Christina. And Christina's like, yes, let's do it. I want to out them. Yeah, they're outing themselves, you know. They're outing themselves. I'm trying to remember what it was they were saying about you. I don't remember exactly. But, I mean, they just don't need us to out them. They're outing themselves. You know, so just let them keep doing it, you know. I mean, does anyone really believe that the suggestions from dank sewage, as Christina calls them, or I've been calling them dark sewage, but y'all know him as Dark Waters. Him trying to say that somehow I did my DDoS show because she did things for me or something. I don't know what he's trying to. It's just ridiculous lies, but she didn't know I was going to do that night, actually. Prayer Fire says, yes, let's hear some. See, some people hate it, and then other people are like, let's do this. Christine says, always, I love the attention. Prayer Fire says, of course, because Christina is vocal. Christina says, let them talk about me. They hate me because they ain't me. Yeah. Mr. Lee says, can your brother tell us his ghost experience, Lockbeard? I don't know that he would want to. It's really not that. I mean, it's you saw a ghost on a bicycle. That's the long and short of it, really. Prairie Fire says, that's awesome of you, Christina. Bigger balls than all of them put together. They have balls? I don't know that they have balls, do they? Christina says, Prairie Fire, yes, they hate women, women with a voice and an education. Yeah, I'll take all the educated women right now. Thank you very much. SWA says, Lockbeard, how do you know you're experiencing a bot or question? I don't ever see a weird message. I deleted them, but yeah, it was like it's not even words. They will post like a few letters, maybe a couple numbers with a dot and then a couple letters or something. This same type of bot's been popping up all over. Um, they're not, and it's like it's completely new name, and you just know we just know they're bots or some kind of spam. One of those was in Russian. The name was a Russian name of some kind, I think. Mr. Lee says maybe sometime. I really don't think he would want to. Prairie Fire Boom. Is it Captain Stinka? No, they're definitely not. No, not Captain Stinka. No, no. Although he maybe bought, I don't know. No, these were completely unique names. They were bots. Prairie Fire says you're a threat, Christina, because you are vocal and not under the sphere of influence. Yeah. Well, and for them, this is a money making thing. They're trying to make money, and they they can't have people like us out here pointing that out, or saying anything against them. Um, and and of course, some people criticize us for engaging, but somebody's got to do it, because they're muddying the water. So many folks say we need to move the ball down the field, but you can't play a game of football without tackles. You got to tackle some motherfuckers. And, that's just part of the game. If someone's keeping you from getting down the field, you got to tackle them. Or if they've got the ball and taking it the wrong direction, I guess would be another way to say that. But Prairie Fire says, personally, I don't give a fuck what the appeasers think of me. Fuck the brand. Preferring they hide their faces. Yeah, that's all I said that. They do. They do. They don't want to show their faces. So, yeah. Patty Troy says, if they are talking about you, they are leaving someone else alone. Yeah, that may very well be true. And I've said it before. I can take it. Let them come at me. They found that it isn't. It's not. Well, I don't know. I guess they want to accomplish somehow getting me to not say anything. They want me to take down a DDoS video. Well, that shit ain't gonna happen. And sorry. It's just because I said what I said, and there it is, and maybe I'm wrong on some details. I don't know. Um, Anybody that wants to investigate the situation themselves, have at it. Uh, I'm just saying we don't need that kind of people in the middle of all this for a number of reasons. They're spreading a false narrative. They are sucking up money because investigating the paranormal, Bigfoot, ghost, aliens, whatever, freaking elves. It's not. It's it's not cheap. Um, it costs money, and we may have some investigators if they just had the funding might actually be able to find some success in getting new uh, footage or evidence of some kind. You've seen some discussion about testing DNA, and how much it costs. These things cost money. So, on the one hand, we say we're people who aren't about the money. Um, but on the other hand, we do have to acknowledge that it costs money to investigate these things. So when you got hoaxers and liars out there sucking up some money from whoever, people buying books and whatnot, um, buying into whatever bullshit they're selling, well, that does hinder us. It does take away from us the potential to to discover some things. I mean, we still may, but it would sure be helpful to get the funding that that would allow people to get the right kind of equipment or just equipment at all. Um, so yeah, I think it needs to be done. SWA says, I've tried to search for what everyone is talking about when you say, oh no, a bot or a troll, but I can't pick out the post. Well, I deleted the posts. I deleted them. Prayfire says, so they're all soy boys. Christina says, they are criminals and or rejects of society. They have found a common bond and a leader to follow. Good for them. And I guess I didn't welcome Patty. Did I? Did I welcome you, Patty? Welcome to the chat. Prairie Fire says, and Captain Cuckold leads them. Let's see. Christine says, I know who they are and aren't. They tell stories, made up or embellished stories for pennies like circus monkeys or elephants. Yeah. Prayer Fires is agreed. SWA says, is a bot a computer or a human sending a message? I don't know for sure. It I think that these are automated probably. I mean, of course, a human had to be involved at some point. But Christina says, and again, dead bodies on someone's property, guns and threats of death, killing people, bragging about it. Wow. Yeah, even if they didn't kill anybody, bragging about killing someone, the lie is still kind of messed up. Thinking they're cool, maybe they're. I don't know why they do that. It's just insane. I don't know. If they think they're somehow cool, if it makes them look like they're tough, you know. I don't know. Prairie Fire says, no, Lockbeard, you're a different thing from them. Thank you. Pretty much threw you under the bus. Jean Hudson's here. Welcome. She says, hey, everyone. We'll be listening. Mr. Lee says, money, yes. Yeah. You know, and, you know, it's come up like, you know, like, because some people, you know, they do make adequate money to, that they could spend some money on some stuff. Like I'm probably going to buy, you know, some of the trail cans I've been looking at are $200-$300. And, you know, I haven't picked one out, and I need to, I don't know, I was thinking about doing a live stream kind of talking about that. Trying to figure out the best one, you know, because, you know, you have the black flash or the no glow types that are supposed to be, you know, less visible to fewer animals, but some animals still see them. And of course, some people think that Sasquatch are able to see some of this stuff like some of the animals can, you know, despite, because humans can't see the flash from some of these trail cams. And so, you know, I didn't know if maybe I could find one that the flash is further outside the normal detectable spectrum for humans, in the hopes that it would be less likely to be detected by Sasquatch, you know. Or but I can't seem to, it doesn't seem like they don't show, like on the, you know, on the ads for the trail cams, they don't tell you the range, the frequency range of the flash. So I don't think there's any way for me to be able to select based on that criteria. So I'm probably just going to have to pick one. You know, and see what I can get out at my locations. But, you know, beyond spending that is like, because we're talking about a people who have avoided detection very, very well from a large number of people. And so there's always this little voice in my head telling me, look, this is a waste of time and a waste of money. So, you know, I'm not willing to spend too horribly much to do it. I got better shit to do. And, you know, so, but if there was, you know, interested parties out there who were willing to drop the cash, you know, I would certainly use it for that purpose, if that's what they want it used for. And they say they're people who don't have the time to do this kind of thing, and, you know, but they want to be a funding source, and that's great, you know. But you know, how much money can I justify spending on these things, and how much time can I justify for it? Christina says they are more into violence, guns, threats, death, magic, spells, attacking people when they are instructed by Jabba the Butt. Yeah. And bypass the bureaucracy. I can get real just like they can lie, says Christina. Prayfire says that's what they hate, Christina. Simply give them enough rope. Yeah. Christina says, here's a favorite statement from one. Wants to turn you into fine red mist. Wow. See, and that's why, like, because when they were threatening me, and of course, Vault tried to claim that was not a threat, but everyone in the chat saw that, and it was a threat. Don't even fucking try to lie, and he's trying to, like, I guess he's been continuing to claim that he's sent me messages trying to get me to talk to him and that I'm deleting them. Well, I haven't deleted one comment of theirs. Okay. So I'm telling you right here, right now, that if Vault's over there saying that I'm deleting their comments, he is full of fucking shit. He's a goddamn liar. And that's it. Dark Water's trying to say there's some kind of affair going on between me and the Bat Mom. It's a bunch of bullshit. Dark Waters is a goddamn liar, and he's full of fucking shit. Oh, these guys they just lie and lie and lie, and they think people, every day, if anyone's paying attention to this shit, every day they got to be seeing, okay, these guys are just making shit up. They got to realize they're just lying. I don't know what they hope to accomplish by making up these lies, but Christina says, "Prefer yes, let them eat cake. My focus is on cryptocurrency now and investing." Yeah, don't you wish we'd all bought a assload of Bitcoin back when it was only pennies? Man. Mr. Lee says, Mr. Pat is going to buy his drone soon. I hope he does. Maybe he will be successful. He seems pretty sure that he's going to be successful. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I guess he plans on teaming up with Patrick Vaughn on some of that. Prayer Fire says, indeed, Christina, keep your head high. Maybe some others will grow spines. Prayer Fire says, also, that'll be a big ticket item, Mr. Lee, talking about Pat's drone. Christina says, prayer for my head never bows, falls. I never look down. No one will ever change me. Words are nothing. Actions are everything. And Vault of Nightmares knows where to find me. Well, I hope he doesn't come looking for you, because he's definitely suggested that he would come after someone in real life. He did so in my chat, even though he lied and claimed that was not what he meant. I don't think anyone who saw that chat, or you can go back and see the chat if you like, if you're that interested in seeing what was said. And if you don't do that, sometime in the future, I'll get all I won't be able to get them all. There's too many comments and stuff, but I screenshotted those chats out of, those out of the chat, that what happened, and I don't want to say probably. I may show it on the stream in the future, along with a lot of comments that were made under the videos and then deleted by the commenter. I did not delete them. I have not deleted one of their comments. And so I may show them to you, or at least a lot of them. It's just, kind of justify spending the time, getting that all set up and doing it. And I don't know, is it worth it? I don't know. But you guys are not seeing all the comments that have been made. all the negative ones coming at me. And it's funny how they make a comment and then they delete it. Now there's a possibility that something in the comment triggered you to delete it. I don't know. And then that may be where we're having a problem in some of the cases, that they're accusing me of deleting it and I'm saying that they deleted it, but maybe YouTube deleted it. So that's a possibility. I'm saying that right now. So maybe I need to try and be, uh, you know, make it a point to say that whenever that comes up. Vaughn always threatens like Jabba the Butt, or they send a minion to do it. Yeah. Vaughn isn't. I guess I shouldn't say it. Someone might mistake me for, like, if they're just listening. She's not talking about Patrick Vaughn. I just, she said she put VON, the initials of Vault of Nightmares. I'll probably need to make sure and say VON if I read that again. Prairie Fire says they are saying those things, Lockbeard, because they have to look the victim. As I've said, they are spineless vermin. Troy says it's not working. Christina says he is nothing. His cult is nothing. Yeah. Yeah. Troy says, like a PowerPoint presentation random live. Yeah, like some of the ones I've done before where I kind of put together, prepared a kind of a PowerPoint. It's not PowerPoint, it's on Canva, but same difference. It's pretty much the same accomplishment. Yeah, I may do it. Prairie Fire says, I know dwarves that have more stature than Vault of Nightmares. Patty Troy says, YouTube can delete his gross community posts then. They ought to. Sasquatch Wizard and Iron Axe, if you're still here, there's one of them. There's been lots of these bots or whatever spammers or whatever they are, and they post something like this. But it's interesting, the letters in this particular one. VOM. Isn't that's crazy. Makes you wonder if they're seeing something in the chat and so they're posting a something that's similar to. I just don't know what this accomplishes though. What is this supposed to do? Is this a web address, partial web address or something? Look at that. There's another one. We got two in a row. Sasquatch Wizard and Darndex, if you're still here, that's what we're talking about right there. Those are some kind of spammer or bot or something, which I am going to delete and delete. Well, I thought I was deleting it. Let me hold on a second. Maybe I didn't get those others deleted. Block user. There we go. Block user. Got rid of them. These Ghost Community Comp posts. Prairie Fire says, I noticed that, Lockbeard. Mr. Lee says, I can't see that. Oh, you couldn't see those? You're better off. They're just crap. Christine says, Lockbeard, I don't want you in any more shit because of my comments. I will stop now. I do find that cult repulsive and backwards. Oh, you're not causing me any shit. I done whacked the hornet's nest when I did the DDoS episode. And I knew I was. I did not like the sound of the idea of DDoS coming back into the community for multiple reasons. Now they're trying to claim that the facts of the criminal stuff are not being portrayed accurately by some players involved. So I'm not going to go into it again here tonight, but I would say that anyone who's interested ought to look into it themselves, make your own decision. But the non-criminal side, like that's separate from the cryptid community stuff. Cryptid community stuff, these guys are full of shit. It's all kinds of dogman bullshit. Dogman cams has been nothing but bullshit. I mean, just tons of bullshit. So, and I don't freaking like it. We don't need it. They are soaking up viewers over there to see the bullshit, and a lot of those people are, maybe they're gullible or brainwashed or whatever, but they're wasting their time, and we need their support on our side of the deal, where we want, we want more verifiable information. We want facts. We want to see some progress proving some things. Or maybe you don't want them to be proven, but you're still interested in what's real instead of the fake shit. Because a lot of people, some people don't want them to be proven to science. But I do. I think it's a good thing. I mean, to me, scientific discovery is good. And well, and then the issue came up on Joe and Molly's show earlier about what does it mean for what would it be good for them to be discovered? I think it probably would be, because if they are proven to exist, there would be, everyone out there would have to acknowledge they're real, and a lot of the people who didn't believe they were real before may now become vocal proponents of protecting wild habitat. Now this would be good for us. Some people don't feel that way, but I do. I think it's good for us to preserve as much natural habitat as we can. We need to stop destroying it, and I see more destroyed all the time. And people think, well, there's plenty out there, and there's still a lot out there in some places, but the reality is humans are growing in population, and we are eventually going to destroy every damn thing. We're going to be looking and saying, well, we got this national forest over here, and it's 10 million acres, but we need some space to expand this city and put in some more houses and put in some more farmland to feed people. And so maybe we can go ahead and shave 1 million acres off this national forest. And then 50 years later, maybe just 10 years, the same thing happens. And so now you only got 80 million acres. And I see a future where we start whittling down this stuff. And so when people say, well, Sasquatch is doing just fine, yes, they are for now. But if we got some really big forces at work that will eventually lead to a point where Sasquatch will not be doing fine. Their numbers will either have to reduce and reduce and reduce until they are at risk of extinction. They're not going to have enough natural resources for their population as it is. And there's going to be far greater likelihood that they run into humans if we don't draw the line. Like Captain Picard said, the line must be drawn here, no further, no more habitat destruction. Now, I think we need to start backing off. We need to look and say, look, we got, like, say this town's about half ghost town anyway. Why any you assholes still living in this town? Go move somewhere else. Maybe some organization geared towards buying up places like that and then restoring it to its natural form. Maybe somebody like that can do it. I hate to have government doing it, but sometimes you need government to make shit happen. But then they abuse the situation. So there's no easy answer. There's no easy answer. But the reality is humans are spreading like a fungus across the surface of this planet, taking over everything, and eventually Sasquatch will not be doing just fine. So I'm thinking about the future, and we could be talking 50 years, we could be talking 100 years, 500 years. It doesn't matter. We are all responsible for the future going forward forever, for many generations. Like what we do today affects the future. So yeah, Sasquatch may be doing just fine right now. But that's not always going to be the case if we keep on the path that we are. Weird. SWA says cryptocurrency. Elon loves Sandshoe. Won't be long now. Hey, I don't know if you were stepped out or whatever, but Lee said he couldn't see those bots either. I put a couple of them on the screen for quite a long time, actually, earlier. And then I booted them. Prairie Fire says, look up Richter and DDoS on YouTube. I wonder if the episode's still there. Paramedic says, I know they are following people into channels I watch and disrupt the chat. When I tell them to kick rocks, they ask who I am. Your name's right there. You Pyromedic. Damn it. What do they want? Let promote Dogman encounters. What? Prairie Fire says, I used to listen to that. Yeah, Dogman. Bunch of bullshit until someone comes up with some real proof, but they're not going to. Somebody watched too many werewolf movies and wants werewolves to be real or some shit. Christine says, I know, but Jabba the Butt hates him. Who? Mr. Lee says, I don't think so. About what? Prairie Fire says, if they were accepted by science, I think you'd really see the crazies come out of the woodwork worse than now. Like crazies, how? Like, you mean people want to try to kill them? I mean, here's what I think will happen. One, I will be vindicated and proven to be right that they are human, or at the very least, extremely close to human. And then, as such, they will require human rights. And we won't see a situation where we see an animal protection. We'll have a situation where we have an uncontacted tribe, like in the Amazon, where it's illegal. You're not supposed to make contact with these primitive tribes in some places, or like the people on I think it's called North Sentinel Island. Um, you don't want to make contact with them anyway, because every time someone sets foot on the island, they kill them. So in that case, the government's looking out for your ass. But in general, the uncontacted tribes, those situations, they're trying to protect those people from being impacted by people like us. Like we don't need to go out and make people advance everybody, right? They'll advance if they want to. That's their prerogative. But some of these tribes are pretty reclusive in some of these areas, and sound like anybody we know, Bigfoot. It seems like Bigfoot's just the most reclusive. Yeah, there was actually an episode of Voyager that kind of addressed that. There was this planet with an advanced civilization on it, and one of Voyager's shuttles crashed within this area that had a force field around the whole area. And it turned out, and there was these primitive people living inside the force field. Like no one could get in there normally, but Voyager's shuttle was they were able to. I think it crashed, it broke up, but they somehow managed to get like emergency beam through the force field. Anyway, they got in somehow, and they couldn't get out. And no one could come in and get them and stuff. Or they had to solve that problem. Eventually, the Voyager figured out a way to bring down the force field. Well, suddenly the advanced civilization wanted to come in, explore, and survey, and figure out what they could use the area for. And of course, these primitive people were being protected by that force field. Apparently, some aliens long ago had built that force field to protect the primitive people inside. So Voyager restored the force field, and the advanced aliens on the planet attacked Voyager for that. But luckily, Voyager was able to protect them. So that story kind of sounds like what we got going on here without the force field. It's just the force field is the law. You're not supposed to make contact with those tribes. You do not go into those areas. You just stay away and let them live let them live their lives the way they do. So yeah, I think they would end up being protected. The crazies would be controlled, because we'd be like, look, if you go out there and even make contact with them, there will be legal repercussions. If you go out there to try and kill them, and if you succeed in killing one of these people, you're going to jail because you've committed the crime of murder. So Prayer Fire says, I'll never move to a city. Christina says, oh, and for the record, I have never been a stalker of. That's it. They were saying you were stalking somebody. I'm married 24 years, and my husband has all of his teeth. Awesome, Christina. Troy says, I tend to think the state and national lands are partly there to protect cryptids. There are many who have that theory. SWA says, where you talking about the bots? You're probably gonna have to go back and watch replay, I guess, to see where I popped them up on the screen. If more come, I'll pop them up on the screen too, and you'll see it on the screen, but you won't see it in the chat. But apparently, Mr. Lee couldn't see them either. So, this is one thing about YouTube chats, man. Sometimes, like there may be someone in there talking, and you don't see them. That's kind of why I kind of like to try and pop up all the chats on the screen. So that if you're in the chat room, see, this is my way of combating YouTube's bullshit. If you're in the chat room, you will see the chats on my screen a lot of the times that you're not seeing in the chat because YouTube's blocking you from seeing it for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know why they do it. Sometimes something in their algorithm says that they need to hide this person from this person. It's weird. I don't know why they do it, but they do. Christina, wash hands. How many posts up from the bottom of this is this bot? Oh shoot, I don't know. It's way back now. Oh my sake. Oh, I see now. You showed us the bot up top. Okay, I see it now. Gotcha. Christina says, and one of several phone conversations lasting several hours. Volta Nightmares told me he was having marriage problems. His wife didn't like his lifestyle of killing people, and they were drifting apart. What the hell? You talked to him on the phone? Prayer Fire says, not just people that would kill them, but just nutcases that would be trying to make money on them. Yeah. I think it would be illegal. It would be illegal, like I said above. Wonder what cheesy novel he got that from. Yeah, I think he's making a lot of bullshit up. Mr. Lee says, what do we know about Sasquatch, Lockbeard? Well, not a lot. We have sightings, many of which we can't take seriously, many of which are bullshit hoaxes. But I think some of them are real because, we got footprints, we got PG film, and there may be a few other films that we could say are probably real. So, what do we know about them? We know they're real. And if you believe a lot of these accounts and, accounts like Joe's, he saw it, had a human face. It was hunting a deer. A lot of people have claimed to have seen them hunting deer. I think we have enough of those types of sightings to say that they do hunt deer. Um, Morphologically speaking, looking at what I think is true at this point, as far as accounts go, and video, and the footprints. Based on what I know of biology, of evolutionary biology, what I see there, your average person is not going to understand the full reasoning behind why I say this, okay? They don't have enough science background, not enough biology background to make an assessment of much of anything about Sasquatch. And we have very little evidence, but based on what I've seen so far and heard, the characteristics of Sasquatch is definitely human. At the very least, an extremely closely related species. But I think that when we finally get a chance to truly examine their genetics, we will find that they are definitely Homo sapiens. And when people talk about this is different, that's different, I was like, look, again, I've said this before. Go look at a Chihuahua standing next to a Saint Bernard and realize that those two animals are the same species. And the Saint Bernard is way bigger than a Chihuahua compared to how much bigger a Sasquatch is than a normal human. Way bigger. The differences are way bigger. So 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 what do we think we know? I mean, we can't. It's really hard to say we know, but I think we could say that we can be fairly certain that they exist, that they hunt deer, and that they are at least extremely closely related to humans. But it's hard to say we actually know, because we don't have the actual carcass of one or some live specimens, which I feel weird using the word specimens because I think they are people. Christina says Sasquatch hates humans. Prairie Fire says we treat them like grizzlies. I don't know. I think we would treat them better than grizzlies because grizzly, I mean, they're not an intelligent species. As far they're not like a sentient species. Christina says Prairie Fire he don't read. Prairie Fire says big LOL. Christine says, look at me and look at him, then look at his wife. Really, I'd be attracted to that. Damn. No, can't see. Mr. Lee says. Prairie Fire says, in all seriousness, that's irrelevant. The fact is that bunch are like assholes turned inside out. A little prolapsed sphincter. Christine says, oh, and when I am in chat, I throw hearts around. I flirt. I have fun and try to make someone smile. The cult thinks I'm a manhunter who for showing people love in chat. Yeah, whatever they're just trying to paint you in a bad light. I've had some manhunters come after me. And what you're doing is not that. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Patty Troy says we know they are real and take a blurry picture. uh, that's terrible dilemma, Patty. Mr. Lee says yes with supernatural powers. Now, see, we don't have supernatural powers evidence though. Like, I need to see some evidence for that. Prairie Fire says, I disagree, Lockbeard. I don't believe they are near ancestors. Yeah. Well, look, I don't know how to even remotely approach this and explain why I say that. But it just years of studying life. Unlike a lot of the people coming up with all their theories, I actually studied quite a bit of biology in college, and independently as well. Um, I've been out, just collecting specimens of all kinds of things for my entire life. Even when I was a kid, I was trying to find all kinds of creatures and identify them properly. And but understanding the evolutionary process, understanding, because I keep seeing like this term convergent evolution popping up. Again, that would be a big thing to get into, and it's hard to, because I can't, without people having the scientific background, it's really hard. Like, I can say all this stuff, it's not really going to resonate, because they don't have the scientific background. Convergent evolution, no, not at all. So I know people don't, maybe they want these things to be true or this way to be true. I'm sorry. I'm just calling it how I see it based on my experience in the sciences. Um, Distant relatives, you're sure. Christina says, and Volta Nightmares told me he would come down to Florida because he was looking at property. Everything changed when his wife made a video about me on her channel. SWA says the only Dogman topics that have sparked my interest is one, Scott Carpenter's footage showing a dark dog-like face with a smaller creature on its back, and Dixie Cryptid show inviting Cam to join them on its back. Could have been faked. I mean, I don't know. There somebody's got to come up with something a little more solid than pictures that are probably faked and stories that are probably lies. Prayer Fire says, but who knows, Lockbeard? I'll always keep an ear open to the possibility that they are directly related to us. Yeah. I mean, I hope that people remain open. I hope look, that's part of the reason why I'm doing this channel, by the way, is and why I keep saying this, that I think it is extremely likely that Sasquatch is the same species as us. Homo sapiens Sasquatchiensis, or whatever we want to call it. If you know how we name animals, Homo is the genus name, Sapiens is the species named. As I mentioned in Joe's show earlier, if you want to expand it out to subspecies, it would be Homo sapiens sapiens, right? Which is really oh uh oh man. The words anthropocentric and anthropomorphic, it's really anthropocentric. That's where, look, I was right. Okay, and he kind of admitted I was right. Of course I would. Look, this is Lockbeard you're talking to. Of course I was right. Anyway. Anyway, so humans are really, you could call it egocentric. Like, we named our own species smart human. That's what that name means. Homo sapiens sapiens, smart. Well, roughly. Imagine our surprise when we find out because I think potentially Sasquatch is more intelligent than us. We find out we're not the most intelligent thing. Hell, even Neanderthals had a larger brain than us, although they were, and I'm going to say this again, they were the same species as us. 100% definitely the same species as us. No matter what these other people say, and mainstream anthropology needs to change the goddamn name. It should not be called Homo neanderthalensis. It should be called Homo sapiens neanderthalensis. Neanderthalensis placed in the subspecies part, which is kind of the same as a race almost. Same species. So that I need to repeat that on this channel, which I guess I don't because it's recorded, but but so that when it's discovered and I'm proven right, hopefully I get recognized for understanding what we're seeing and deciphering from this stuff that that's what they are. Um, so I mean, so somebody find a specimen, get it publicly released, so I can be proven, so I can be vindicated. Yes, with supernatural power. Mr. Lee, you are stuck on the supernatural powers. Christina says Vault of Nightmares was going to meet me when he came near my area. He was looking at a home in Wesley Chapel to buy. Told me that more than once. Huh. SWA says Cam show discussed a group claiming they had encountered by sighting multiple dogmen and feeling feeling attack was intended and invited Cam to join them as they caged themselves for protection. Cam said no. Huh. I used to watch his channel a little bit, but I'm tired of just stories. I mean, they're okay every so often, but I can't just sit and watch a channel that's just stories all the time. Hold on a second. Prairie Fire says, not sure about Dogman through the skeletal structure is all wrong for an animal to support the way. It's something straight off fantasy. I mean, it's straight off fantasy. Dogman is total bullshit. So saith Lockbeard, until somebody comes up with some pretty serious evidence. Christina says they are as unclean as they pretend to be clean, casting lies across the aisle while they hide their faces. Yep. You're done for now. Did I come to? Am I getting up? I can't believe I'm keeping up with chat. Prairie Fire says I understand the classifications. That's why I said the near ancestor. Well, it would take a little more discussing. One of the things is like with the Neanderthals, how we know for a fact that the Neanderthals were the same species as us. They blended into primarily the Caucasian race. All Caucasians are part Neanderthal now, because the two races blended long ago. Neanderthals didn't just die out. They got absorbed into the Caucasian race and probably gave us some traits that we didn't have before. Some of the traits that we take now, that's Caucasian. Well, that wasn't what Caucasians exactly looked like originally. We got blended with the Neanderthals, and now we're this. And yeah. So Fairfire says, and I also do not necessarily believe Sasquatch is as smart or smarter than us. I cite environmental manipulation. Well, you mean as far as what we're doing? Yes, but you might consider that we're destroying our own ecosystems. We're tearing the place apart. Is that very smart? Who's to say that we would be wiser to live a life closer to nature like Sasquatch does? Don't destroy your environment, live in harmony with it. You evolved in that environment, and to live outside the environment that you evolved in is going to have negative psychological and physiological consequences. And it does. Humans are becoming more weak and pathetic all the time. The only way we can survive in nature now is if we have some minimal amount of equipment. Most of us. There's a few of us out here, like, because when it comes to prepping, my idea of the best way to be a prepper is to prepare your mind and know things, learn, understand what you need to know, so that hypothetical situation, you're dropped butt ass naked in the woods with nothing. This ain't one of those survivor shows where we'll give you a couple of fish hooks and some fishing line and a knife. No, you don't get shit. You get dropped in the woods. Can you survive? Based on nothing that you have, but what you know. Because that's all ancient man had. They had the knowledge of how to survive off of what was on the land. But the point I was getting at is that Sasquatch is smarter for living close to nature. Don't make yourself weak and your species weak. Because if you live like we use clothing and fire and natural gas and heaters, and our cold tolerance is not what it could be. Our ability to tolerate uh, these different temperature ranges is less than what it could be. And it's just going to have negative genetic consequences on our species over time, because the people that would die most easily of hypothermia would never grow up and have babies themselves, right? So it's affecting our evolution now, isn't it? And you need some people to freaking die. The weak and I'm sorry, it's rough, it's hard, it's inhumane, but nature's a bitch, right? You got to. The only way for your species to stay at its top level, at its highest fitness, is for you to kill the ones who don't exhibit your primary evolved survival traits that you're designed with to for the environments that you belong in. Humans rely on our technology. We got smart enough to start making all this shit, and then we took ourselves out of the natural order, and we're screwing ourselves. The drop in IQ is just one part of the example there, of what we're doing to ourselves. Now, after a few generations where it gets harder and harder for smart people to find other smart people to breed with, we're going to run out of smart people who can maintain this technology. Then we're going to be thrown back into the wild again. All of this is stupid. We think we're smart, but we're just smart enough to be dangerous to ourselves and to cause negative evolutionary consequences for our species. Looks to me like Bigfoot knows better. Possibly. Plus, they are really successful at staying out of our way, staying hidden from us. Very successful. That could be just highly elusive nature. It could be just that, but I think there's a lot of intelligence involved there too. Tuck your boys in, Christina. Mr. Lee says, I'm not so sure now about what. Oh, there's another one of them bots. Let me block them. No, I'd be rubbish. Minus 54 here right now. Oh, very cold. Very cold. Patty Troy says, I'd like to know what Sasquatch knows. We are one solar flare from a real fun time for humans without survival skills. Yeah. Oh, we're screwed, man. And what's worse is with we're sitting kind of at a precarious place where the right natural disaster could cause the extinction of the human species, and we could be better off if we were smart, if we did what we should do. I mean, I'm not, I don't have millions of dollars to play with, or I'd have certain things in place to ensure my survival no matter what the hell happens. And it depends on what extreme of cataclysmic event you're talking about. But we are not prepared. Uh, well, some people not at all. You know, um, freaking hurricane or tornado and earthquake. These things happen, and a bunch of people die, and we're like, man, that's small potatoes compared to what nature could actually do. And something really big could happen at any moment, and people just aren't ready. Billions will die one of these days. A big enough cataclysm will come. Billions will die with the possibility of extinction. All that'll be left sitting on this rock is Lockbeard. I'll just look around, survey the situation, say, damn it. I guess I gotta wait for a new species to evolve to, create a mate for me. That wouldn't work, by the way. Just kidding. I could not start a fire with a lighter or a match, says Mr. Lee. Well, um, you could. And now's as good time as any to learn how to start fire. I saw there's an interesting device called a fire piston. Look at that. Apparently, ancient man figured this out. So what? Yeah, if you know how to like a diesel engine works, like the compression creates heat, and so you can get some that are made out of metal or even glass or something like that or bone. But I mean, ancient man figured out. So what you have is like a tube, right? Uh, um, I need a visual aid. I don't know. I don't know. So okay, it's like this, right? It's like this container. Um, I don't know if you can see that. Just a little plastic container. This is what those little mints come in. Um, oh, son of a bitch. I don't have any light going on right now. Anyway, it's just like a, shaped roughly like a jar would be, only a little taller. Well, a fire piston somehow out of a piece of wood or bone. Maybe they could make it out of ceramic material, like a pot, but make some small little thing like this. Only it would probably be smaller interior diameter than this, and then you make a piece, a rod that fits down inside there. And what you do is you slam it in. Maybe you have a broad top on here and you slam it in, and it quickly compresses the air inside there. And it would create like around the rod, because it's got to be pretty tight, but it's got to be loose enough that it will slide down inside that part. And so they would put sinew, like animal sinew, around, creating a gasket. So it would maintain compression. And when they would compress that air really fast, they'd slam it in there, it would create, and it'd have some tinder on the end of that rod, like attached to it somehow. And the heat gets up high enough inside of there to create an ember. And then they could start a fire from the ember instead of rubbing sticks or something. How the hell did ancient man figure out that compression of air like that would heat up the air inside that chamber hot enough to create an ember? I don't know, but they did it. You can make something like that pretty cheap though if you found the right little parts and stuff at the hardware store. It's called a fire piston. I think there's some other names for it, but anyway, if you could make a pretty small version maybe and have it, I don't know, maybe I don't know, maybe put it on a keychain or something, or put it in your survival pack or whatever. You could at least have an easy way to make an ember to start a fire that way. Of course, there's flint and steel, the fire steel or whatever they call it. I mean, there's different things, but if you're not in a really cold area, you don't necessarily need to be able to make fire. At all. People think you don't have to have fire to survive if the conditions are good enough. You don't need to cook your food. That's complete bullshit. Humans evolved eating raw meat. That's just a goddamn fact. Which I think a lot of people reject it just because they don't like the idea of eating raw meat, so they don't want to accept it or something. I don't know. All I know is last weekend was Christmas, so I didn't do my normal routine, and I didn't stop by that Japanese buffet up there where I can just get a plate full of sashimi, raw fish. And right now would really like to have some. Although I'm pretty happy, I found a restaurant that makes a good plate of liver. So a couple days ago, so I'm pretty happy with that. Eat your liver, damn it. You don't have to eat it all the time, but just eat your damn liver, okay? Every so often, eat some liver. Prayer Fire says, so true, Patty. Mr. Lee says, yes, Patty. Prayer Fire says, they are better at hiding than bears, but I don't believe they have any superhero powers. Yeah, I don't think they have any of the woo powers or anything like that. But I do think that they are very intelligent and possibly more intelligent than we are. Which, hopefully I get proven correct about a lot of these things one of these days. Patty Troy says, cold here in northern Canada, can't help but think what would happen if the grid fell. You mean like a permanent situation, like everything on the planet got fried by a solar flare or something? I would say head south, but let me tell you something. If the power goes out, most of these people are going to lose their damn minds. There's going to be roving bands of violence. It's not going to be good. So if you head south, try to go through the Rockies. Go through the Rocky Mountains. Lay low. Just because you're walking around in the woods and you don't see anyone doesn't mean there isn't someone there looking for a victim. So you don't want to just walk around like things are safe. You want to be quiet. You want to be looking around and staying out of sight. Don't walk in the open. Um, um, Pretend like there could be someone behind every tree. Um, Things will not be safe. Humans will turn into we got another Star Trek. We got another Star Trek reference opportunity here. Um, they're on a planet, and Nog is a Ferengi alien. If you're familiar with the Ferengi, they're a type of alien in Star Trek, and he's young, and his uncle's there. He's also a Ferengi, obviously, and they're talking about the humans, and they've been pinned down because they're kind of in a battle zone, and these people, they're ragged, man. They have been through hell, and Nog's admiring the one of the Starfleet guys is wearing uh, I'm not going to go into what the objects were, but they were certain objects that all of their enemy carry, and this guy was collecting, and they all have one. Each of the enemy has this one object on them, and so this Starfleet officer, every time he killed one of them, he took that object off of them and put it on this like a necklace, I think it was. And Nog was appreciating that and stuff like that, and anyway, they were talking about the humans anyway, and his uncle told him, said, "Look, humans are really nice people, as long as what do you say? As long as their holodecks are working, and their sonic showers are working, and their replicators. He says, as long as those are all working, they're fine. But you take away all that, and these very nice, kind people will turn nastier than the nastiest Klingon. And if you know Star Trek and you know Klingons, you know what that means." Anyway, humans are like that. Humans are like that. You take away all these comforts, people are going to go nuts. It's part of the reason why I like doing the van life thing. If the shit ever hits the fan, I don't got to pack shit. Everything's on board here. I'm ready to go. All I gotta do is start the engine and roll. And every time I say that, people's like, "Well, I can get going." I was like, "Don't even try to play. Don't even try to play with me. You want to try and act like you're ready. You're ready. You motherfuckers are not ready for shit." I always keep about a month's food. I don't want to spend too much space on food, but I got about a month of food on board at all times. I just need enough to make sure I can get to the mountains and lay low. If I'm at work, shit hits a fan, I'm at work. Guess where my van's at? It's at work. It's always wherever I'm at, my van's with me pretty much for the most part. So, yeah, if grid goes down, man, and it stays down, it's going to be a bloodbath. Guaranteed. Prairie invisibility. Prairie Fire says here as well, Patty, West in some Saskatchewan, I believe. Alberta, Prairie Fire. They said the same about Charlie in Vietnam, Mr. Lee. Prairie Fire says, "Did you get much of that snow over Christmas?" I think we got 2 feet. We got zero snow. It actually got over 80 degrees, which is not typical in central Oklahoma where I was at the time. It should have been cold, possibly snow. Sometimes we have snow on Christmas, but it's at least cold typically. But it was down. It damn near got hot. So I mean, made it for a nice holiday as far as not having to deal with the cold. But Pyromedic says look into the underground system they have built in the Ozarks for an extinction event. I'm sure they have them around the world. Yeah, I've heard that rumor. I just, where would they put it though? How would they hide the fact that they've done it? Because they also talk about like things like the Denver International Airport being underneath it being a bunker for like a extinction level event or shit hits the fan scenario. Prairie Fire says, I agree, Pyro. I think Europe's full of them also. Patty Troy says, not much here for Christmas. It did snow, even though it's too cold to snow. Been around negative 25, negative 30 since then, and for the next few weeks. Yep, about the same here. We may hit negative 60 tomorrow. Up here, no fire, warmth, you die. Yeah. Yeah. It's a necessity up there. How the wild animals live through that? How do the wild animals? Well, I mean, that's kind of what I'm kind of talking about with humans is animals do it all the time. Humans did it too before they discovered fire. Now they may not have ventured as far north. Like nowadays, we go as far as we damn well please because we can figure out a way if we really want to endure extreme cold temperatures. But if you talk to the Iceman, Wim Hof, you can, I mean, look, if I've talked about him before, he can sit in freaking ice water and maintain his body temperature. He's got, I think, 27, 28 world records involving cold endurance. And he's been able to train other people to do it. I've done a little bit of it, but nowhere near as good as he is, of course. I do not like the idea of sitting in ice water for one. And of course, one needs a tub to do that. And it's just, I don't know. But, hit yourself with a cold shower every so often to try and it's good for you too. It's a health thing. Again, that's talking about getting out of the natural environment where we would be exposed to these temperatures, and because we evolved under those conditions, optimal health is only possible under those conditions. So what we got society is like, oh, you don't want to get a chill, you'll catch a cold. Pussies. You think ancient man like no one said, oh, you gotta stay inside, don't catch a cold. Dude, they lived outside. They lived outside. If the temperature got chilly, they just had to freaking deal. And only after they learned how to make fire did they really get free to push way north. But you can be damn sure that they were often in areas where things would get a little chilly, and they just had to figure it out how to deal. From digging in underground, maybe the whole tribe piles on top of each other, and hopefully the orgy don't get too wild. Who knows, but they certainly didn't. Every time they caught a little bit of a slightly chilly wind, throw on a windbreaker. They didn't have windbreakers. It's just Demolition Man reference here. society. What was his name? Simon Phoenix, the bad guy, said society is what I'm not going to get it right. Society has turned into a pussified version of itself, or something to that effect. The night is young, says Mr. Lee. I have no idea, Mr. Lee. Says Prairie Fire. No supernatural powers. Jeez. T-shirt idea. Eat your damn liver. Yep. Yep. Prairie Fire says the only way I think is for them to grab some sort of cover. Be like the movie The Road. The ravine, a ditch. Get a compound, a crossbow. Yeah, you definitely want to have a bow. If a person can stockpile all the guns they want, what happens when you run out of ammunition and you don't have a source of gunpowder? You got to think it all the way through. Okay, so what are the components of gunpowder? Uh, where can I acquire that from the natural environment? Do I have access to such resources, or can I create these things? And then once I do, um, you know, what happens when my shells wear out? Because those things ain't gonna last forever. On the other hand, you can make a bow and some arrows uh, with very little trouble comparatively. So, yeah, have your guns, but think about a bow and arrow and learning how to make them. Prayer Fire says they say a hog goes feral in 3 weeks. Humans start turning in 7 days. Yeah, you can make my comforts, man. You can take my comforts, man, says Mr. Lee. Patty says, I need a prepper in my life. Yeah. Prayer Fire says, good tools, Troy, for sure. SWA says, folks, a very good book for techniques to survive major disaster as it pertains to where to go is Joel Skolson's book, Strategic Location. Yeah. And it's a really good idea to scope out some places now. Like if you wait for the shit hits the fan and you don't have some place already in mind to go to and a way to get there, like multiple routes, maybe you think, well, I'll be able to drive there. Well, what if the roads are too dangerous because there's humans all over them roads trying to kill people? Can you hike in there off road? There's things to think about. Prairie Fire says, I've listened to him on the Wrench Show. Good, sensible advice. Mr. Lee says, we've forgotten superpowers. Perhaps. I mean, if you're thinking in terms of like Wim Hof, okay, but yeah, maybe. Christine says, Prairie Fire feral humans in 7 days, like modern people turning feral from what? Breakdown of society, like someone mentioned the grid going down. So let's say the sun, has an upset stomach and we get hit with a solar flare and the electromagnetic pulse that may accompany that would, if it was big enough, and it's very possible that these happen, big, really, really big ones that none of us have seen in our lifetime, but it could happen at any time. Big enough to fry all electrical devices and shut down our ability to make electricity and all that stuff. people would lose their minds. There's a lot of people that rely on electricity for heat. They're gonna freeze. They're gonna fucking freeze. You know. So yeah, just people going nuts. I mean, people went kind of nuts during this so-called, you know, I'm gonna use the word plague because I don't know how much YouTube is censoring certain words these days. And it was a plan. They did plan it. They did plan the whole thing, and I still am not convinced that the virus even exists. No one's been able to prove it to me. But there's a number of different indications that the entire thing was a lie. So you need to either come with ironclad proof that the thing exists, or at the very least, be able to come up with a reasonable explanation for the multiple reasons that I've given in the past that show the entire thing was fake. They lied. Far. Yes, Mr. Lee, far. Prayer Fire says services discontinued, riots in South Africa, China, mirrors. That's a scary thought. Yeah. Yeah. Scariest creature on the planet. It's us, our own kind. Going to be in the swamps here eating gators. Gator's a good meal. Mr. Lee says, I lost my mind years ago. Prairie Fire says, back in 1969, there was a huge riot in China. It went on for weeks. When it was finally quelled, they found out 60,000 humans had been cannibalized. They started with officials. Yeah. And that's another thing, cannibalism. Cannibalism is a natural part of humans' behavioral and dietary complement. Now, that sounds really far fetched to people in our society, but our society is just has an extreme aversion to cannibalism. We've outlawed it. We don't like it, and we haven't experienced too much in a way of situations that would result in cannibalism. Um, but humans have done it over and over and over again throughout history and prehistory. Um, there have been entire, tribal groups that did it on a regular basis, and I think there's a couple out there that still are, at least minimally, where they can get away with it. But um, like with other animals that occasionally cannibalize their own, um, humans will do it, and you know, and it wouldn't take too much to push them over that edge, really. China has about 300 riots a year. Yeah. And the more people they get, the worse it's getting off. They're just keep growing in population. Christina says, "What the fuck? No eating people. No can do. I was fully raw vegan 4 years. No problem." Yeah, but um, in the situations we're talking about, um, we're more concerned with you avoiding being eaten. That's funny. You were a vegan. I imagine you've been hanging around here a while. You've heard me talking about humans being, specifically designed to eat carnivore and stuff like that, and vegans eat like my prey. But don't worry. If the shit hits the fan that bad and I can't find any deer or anything and I start eating people, I won't eat you. You'll be safe. Paramedic says a huge solar flare happened when they used telegraphs that melted the wires and caused electrical arcing. Yep. Yeah, but no one today, because that was far enough back. No one today remembers it, and and it's a piece of information um, that 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 we need to remind people of, and I mean, I think every school kid should know about that, so that they, when they go about their lives, they recognize that can potentially happen, and their cell phone is going to melt in their freaking pocket. I mean, maybe not completely melt, but it's going to fry. Um, all this stuff that they rely on every day, and it's going to go away. No. SWA says I'm single. Prairie Fire says China needs 30 million new jobs a month just to keep the unemployment at its current rate. Yeah, it's crazy over there. Something's going to break in China eventually. They're not going to be able to feed people, and I mean, it'll be a riot to end all riots. It'll be wild. And this is what I'm talking about, though, right here. This is an example. Humans are just smart enough to be a danger to ourselves. Where we create this society where we have all these modern technological benefits and all this agriculture and stuff, and so we get our numbers to start expanding and expanding. Not sustainable at all, and at some point something happens where we can't maintain what we had to keep that population fed, and you'll end up with vast numbers of people starving and going nuts, but killing each other. We think we're so smart, but we're doing this. We are totally doing it. We're setting ourselves up for massive human death, the likes of which the world has never seen, and we still got most people thinking that we are the best thing ever. We are so smart. Well, man, look at us. We're so great. Meanwhile, Sasquatch is out here in the woods just looking at us. Just looking at us. We're like, look at these dumb idiots. I mean, they just put a parking lot where a perfectly good forest was. That forest had everything we need. And these assholes just paved it over. You can't live off asphalt, motherfuckers. I mean, who's the smart one here? Yeah, we can come up with some technological wonders and stuff like that, but we're lacking some higher level intelligence, at least most of humanity. That would we can't live. We're not living sustainably. We're setting ourselves up for massive just war and riots and starvation and disease, and we created that scenario like a bunch of morons. Um, Of course, there's a few of us out here that we're sitting here saying, you idiots need to stop doing this shit. Stop it. We need to change the plan. But no one's listening to me or anyone else that's trying to warn people. So, look, you need to stop this. Most people hear people like me talking like this. They're just like, shake their heads and go on and go cruise through McDonald's drive-through and go home and watch cable TV and think everything's going to be just fine until one day it isn't. Until the tornado comes through, or the hurricane, or the wildfire, or the earthquake, and then suddenly a bunch of people die and they're like, oh my God, what happened? Well, I'll tell you what happened. You're dumbass. I've been telling you, look, I've been telling people for years. I was like, look, when these things happen, you guys just go back to the status quo afterwards. You whine and you complain. You're like, oh my God, my dad died, my kids died. Well, fucking do something to prevent it from ever happening again. It's like that freaking some years back, a tornado came through the area I was living in and hit a bunch of places and knocked some houses down and destroyed some shit. And what do people do? They go back and build the same way they did before. They build the same way they did before. We can build homes that are completely immune to these tornadoes, but they won't do it. They build the same conventional construction they always have. So as far as I'm concerned, they fucking deserve what they get. Meanwhile, I'm going to duck in a hole. But a lot of these houses don't even have a hole. They don't have a tornado shelter. Wherever you frequent, if you live in an area that has those kind of disasters, at least have a place to duck. Make sure you know where I can go and duck real quick in case something goes bad. We can build ourselves around. It's like those wildfires over in California. I saw a perfect picture. I need to find that picture sometime that illustrates what I'm talking about. There was this hillside you could see where there was row after row of houses, and when the fires came through, they burned down all those houses except one house in the middle of all that. Why? Because the way that house was built, what it was built with, it was stucco on the outside. It had a tile roof. It was impervious to the fire. It couldn't. You got a shingle roof and a fire comes through, or your roof's going to light up. You got some of that plastic siding on your house that ain't, and then under that's wood. Yeah, your house is going to burn the fuck down. That's what's going to happen. Christine says, I only eat fish and grass-fed, cruelty-free raised animals, and you can't catch me to eat me, Lockbeard. I told you I'm not going to eat you. Prairie Fire says, Pyro, imagine the same flare now. Yeah, people will lose their minds. All these kids who are just thoroughly addicted to their cell phones and shit, their video games, they're gonna lose their damn minds. They don't know how to deal with that shit. These kids do not remember a time when they didn't have cell phones. I remember a time when the phone was attached to the wall with a wire, and sometimes we didn't even have phone service. But these kids these days, they don't have those memories. They don't have the slightest clue what life is like without a cell phone. It was the Carlington event, says SWA. Patty Troy says, the zombie apocalypse, I'm just going to let them eat my face. I don't have the energy to go through all that. SWA says, Lockbeard is blushing. Am I? Hello, Patty. Fairfire says, when the Chinese can't feed themselves, they will march. Yeah, if they march, like they got so many people, if their government can give them go, say, look, we know you don't got food, so we know where there's some food is. It's in America. So everybody suit up. We're gonna march right across the North Pole in the middle of winter. It's frozen over, so we can just march right over the North Pole and then down through Canada, and we'll pillage Canada and first, and then we'll hit America, and we'll all meet in Cancun when it's over for a vacation. Anyway, no one's gonna make it to Cancun. Well, they might. I don't know. They'd probably get burned out somewhere by the time they hit Mexico, but they could march all those people. They got so many people, they could march them that route, and the United States could just sit here just shooting all our nukes at them, and just nuke the shit out of everything. And there would probably still be enough Chinese soldiers make it to the United States to kick our ass. That would be a bad deal. Once that happens, if they march on us, man, we're so fucked. Everybody's sitting here, well, we got lots of guns. Yeah. We don't got enough ammunition to take out all the Chinese, man. I mean, we might think, well, they got this many people, got this many rounds of ammunition. We got this. Yeah, right. You got to remember, they're fighting back. They're not just walking out there and letting you shoot them. They got guns too. And their government probably has no problem using chemical weapons and all that shit. It'd be a big bad deal. Patty Troy says, but I mean it. Mitch Lee says, we are so dumb. We are. SWA says, you folks really should read the book Strategic Relocation. It explains the scenarios when the shit hits the fan and where people will flow to and what routes they will take and where safety may be, etc. Yeah, it's good information. Christine says, I put a bullet in my head before I let someone rip me apart. Patro says, pave paradise, put up a parking lot. Wizard, I'm getting that book, says Christina. Yeah, Wizard says, I feel better knowing you are, Christina. Prayfire says, intelligent chat spawns intelligent thought. Yep. Wizard says, 25-year shelf life, Patriot Foods, 1-year supply, fruits, vegetables, stock up, stash in high altitudes above 1,400 feet at least. That may not even be enough. Yeah, but I would add, like, because I'm a full 100% carnivore advocate for optimal health. So when it comes to stockpiling food, I'm not looking at fruits and vegetables. I'm looking at meat. So, jerky, canned meat, tuna and herring and stuff like that. Or you could even do, Vienna sausages and potted meat and stuff like that. There's ways to do it with meat, and that's what I got. There's no grain, there's no freaking flour or corn or none of that bullshit. And there's no vegetables and there's no fruits. There is only meat. Herring is really good for you, folks. I know it's probably the most unappetizing thing I have on board, but look, you can get used to it. Just make yourself do it sometimes, and you'll get used to it. It's like liver. A lot of people they're like, "Oh, liver's gross." So, it's really nice. It's really pretty good. If it's just you haven't you just got to eat it sometimes and kind of get used to it and appreciate it. It's highly nutritious. Highly nutritious. Sandra Piper says, "Good night, chat." You too, Sandra. Need seeds in indoor garden, says Christina. Hey says, bye, Sandra. Wizard says, Lockbeard, do you think maybe Sasquatch are human survivors from the last great disaster, living deep underground for hundreds of years before they came back up and alone until the 1500s? I don't know. That's quite a story. I don't know about that. Prairie Fire says, and now China has hypersonic missiles. Thanks, Christina Patty. Prairie Fire says, Sandra. Paramedic says, our breadbasket feeds 70% of the world. Yeah, yeah. And people think China is not going to come for that shit eventually. Oh shit! There's another freaking troll, or not troll, but spammer or bot or whatever. So true power, we become complacent. Yeah. Wizard says, folks, God bless y'all, and to all good night. Yeah, good night, Wizard. And yeah, I'm gonna try and wrap up here pretty quick here. Prayer first says, good night, Sasquatch Wizard. Paramedic says they make the powder in the freedom seeds to where it's only is good for about 5 years now. Huh. Christine says, gotta learn how to smoke and dry meat. So, yeah. Yeah, it's not that big a deal. You know, be able to hunt, be able to preserve meat just in case. But ideally, you know, be in an area where you have adequate food to hunt. But the problem is there's so many humans on the planet now that if our system breaks down, you know, all the ranches are in disarray. They can't run their ranch like they do anymore, and they don't have all the agriculture to supplement their concentrated animal feeding operations. They call it CAFOs, which is bad shit. You know, you're right about that. It's not a nice way to raise beef or hogs or chickens or any animals really. Um, the best way for your actually the land, because they try to act like, well, we need to do it this way to produce this much. No, no. If your land's natural, it produces better. It produces better. I mean, you got to manage it to accommodate exactly what you're doing, but you don't need fields of soybean and corn to feed these cows. Okay, that's what they're doing. You don't want cows that have eaten that stuff anyway. It messes it up. You just want a cow in a damn field. You know, living as nature intended. Just put it out in the pasture and leave it to, you know, let it grow to natural sizes, eating natural foods. Cows aren't supposed to eat grain. They sure as fuck ain't supposed to eat soybean. They're supposed to eat grass. The only time they would ever come across grain is once a year when it ripens, and they are not going to get that much of it. But they're pumping them full of this grain. They put fat on them and stuff. And beef fat's good, but you want natural beef fat that goes on naturally, not grain induced. But yeah, the land produced better, you know, and you know, like a lot of these cattlemen, you know, they're of course they have to control weeds because you know brush will grow up and stuff like that. Well, run some goats, run goats with your cows. It's real simple. You know, because what happened in nature? You think there was only one kind of animal grazing in those fields, on the plains and the prairies? No, there was many different types of animals eating different types of things. So you need to control brush in your on your ranch for your cows. You don't spray, don't put poison on the land. Put some goats out there. I mean, you know, damn it. Prairie Fire says, is that the barium aluminum that you're talking about, Pyro chemtrails? I didn't know he was talking about chemtrails. Oh, there we got another spam bot. Goodbye. Christina says, oops. Prayer for us a good night. She must be saying, night all, I'm sleepy. Going to have nightmares about being chased by hungry lunatics. Love y'all. You're welcome. You're welcome, Christina, and have a good night. Pyro says, powder and shells for pow pows is made to degrade. Sorry, other words get strike. I don't know. I said it. I think I said all the bad words earlier anyway, so, whatever. Okay, understand. See ya, Christina. Stay warm, says Prairie Fire. Christina says you too. All right, y'all. I'm gonna wrap her up. I intended not to be on this long. Anyway, we went like an hour longer than I intended. So, but that's okay. Lots of good stuff to talk about. We're all over the place. It's a random live, so talk about any subject on random live. Um, so hopefully the people that are Sasquatch oriented didn't get too bent bent out of shape about us getting off of Sasquatch quite a bit. Um, Hopefully the people that don't like to hear about the Bigfoot drama didn't get too upset about that. I just think we need to talk about and address it. Um, I want to keep pushing back against this bullshit. Um, they made a serious miscalculation, threatening me and trying to intimidate me and threatening a lawsuit and all this bullshit that it ain't gonna happen. He's not gonna fucking sue me. He can't fucking sue me. I didn't fucking do anything to him. Trying to say I spooked him. They're the ones coming in my. Anyway, we talked about all this before. Damn it! I need to get off here. Patty Troy says night light beer, night beer. Good night, Patty Troy. Prairie Fire says awesome. Thank you for the podcast. So, well, thank you guys for coming. Um, Hopefully, we see everybody next time. Paramedic says those bots are not showing up on my phone either. I thought you were deleting them before I saw them, but not the last two. Yeah, YouTube must have hit them from you. They were shadow banned to you, but not to us. I don't know how that works, but I've seen it happen with like normal people, like not even bots, where this person can't see that person for some reason. Good night, Prairie Fire. Paramedic says, I thought we were talking about having to live like Bigfoot. Yeah, we can rationalize it like that. We sure can. All right. We need to wrap it out. I'll go to sleep. And hopefully, because I hear a little rumor that these guys are saying they know where I'm at. I really doubt they do. But of course, if they do, again, you know, survival strategy, safety. Um, my location is a place that, as you can see, this light on me. It's a well lit area around right here with a camera right there, right there. Um, so go ahead, guys. You will be seen. You will be on camera. Patty Troy says night prairie fire, and also the cops are come by here. It's like a regular thing, really, which is cool. Get to know the cops and you know, yeah. So, all right, y'all. Thanks for coming. Patty Troy says they won't come after you, Lockbeard. All talk. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm pretty sure. Unless they want to try and prove themselves or something, that they aren't, they really are these big time gangsta criminal killers. You guys aren't fooling nobody. Paramedic says we have to make my day law here. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So now they have to guess just how much make my day capacity the Imperial van has. Take care, Troy. Thank you. Patty Troy says secret forces. Yeah. All right, y'all. Thanks a lot. And have a good night.